Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. And we're here to talk about all things home and healing. And we're going to play with the light just a little bit. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Let's see. That didn't work. Okay. Uh, it looked good, and now it doesn't. And now we don't have any light. There we go. That's better. All right. So we're here to talk about all things home and healing. And, it's the Friday before Thanksgiving. I don't think we did a Thanksgiving show last year. We're getting close to the 1 year mark, and I don't know exactly, I don't remember exactly what our 1 year mark is. Maybe Mark knows. But I think we were relatively new this time last year, or maybe we hadn't started yet. So we're going to call this my first Thanksgiving show. And last year, if we did do it, we probably weren't talking about Thanksgiving. We're probably talking about color and all kinds of stuff. And well, I always talk about color. We have to. But we're going to talk a lot about Thanksgiving well being. Now, first of all, I found this really cool fact from, and I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, okay, that's really intriguing. And I just looked it up on Google. So, I'm not just repeating something that I saw on Facebook. So, the Mayflower, there were originally, let's see, 102 Mayflower passengers who arrived. And no, 102 Mayflower passengers who arrived on the shores died during the first winter. 26 families of passengers are known to have left descendants. And according to Google, there's 35 million people worldwide that can count those people as their descendants. Is that amazing? I mean, the math there is amazing. I think what I saw on Facebook was 26 million. That was just US, so worldwide. I guess we've traveled a lot. Um, but isn't that, I mean, you don't realize how many people we affect. Our genes are being carried down from generation to generation, our ideals, our morals, and maybe your great grandchildren may never meet you, but who you were as a parent and as a grandparent is still part of them. And when you think about, let's see, well, it was 1600 something. Uh, yeah, so we're talking about 400 years. It's a lot of people. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. Now, I'm a little bit of a holiday renegade these days. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she's got cancer. And she's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing Thanksgiving. We're just going to go to a restaurant, or, I'd be fine with the hamburgers. She's sick. She doesn't need to be doing this. I had another healing client of mine that I worked on a couple days ago, and she had gallbladder surgery. And her surgery scars were giving her a hard time. She's still having trouble digesting. I don't tell you that beforehand, but it takes a while for your body to get used to not having a gallbladder. And it has to really look at how it works all over again. And so you really do have to learn to digest again. I had my gallbladder out many years ago. And my poor client, she's like, it's my age. I'm like, it's not your age. It's just, this is how the body works. And it takes some time. And what it does is it forces you to really look at what you're eating as well. And how healthy is it for you? Because your body can't process the toxins as much as it could beforehand. And she told her kids, I'm not doing Thanksgiving. I don't care what we do, but I'm not doing it. She didn't need the stress. And I'll tell you a funny story. So when I was little, I don't know how old, was younger than 11, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. My mom's the youngest of 9. So lots of siblings, lots of cousins, lots. And we thought, oh, we're going to have Christmas at our house. And it's her turn or whatever. I don't know. I was too little to know all the details, but we decided not Christmas. We were going to have Thanksgiving at our house. And one of my aunts, who fancied herself quite the cook, said, I'm going to bring the turkey. My mom didn't ever fancy herself a great cook, but she knew how to make food, and it was good. So she's like, okay. So all my uncles and aunts are there. We're there. It's 2:00, whatever time they're supposed to be there. I don't know. Everybody's hungry. Now, my dad, he's a funny sort of guy. Anyway, you say dinner's at 4, dinner better be on the table at 4. We had Thanksgiving here one time, and he walked in the house. We had everything ready to be on the table at 4. He walked in the house at 3:30, and he's like, how come the dinner's not on the table? I'm like, well, first of all, we said 4. Dinner will be on the table at 4. But he liked to eat early, and that was his thing, and it just was his thing. So anyway, all the uncles and aunts are there, a bunch of little kids around, and everybody's hungry. And everybody else is there on time except the turkey. No turkey. No phone call. Nothing. An hour goes by. Still no turkey. And by now everybody's really crotchety and like, we're supposed to be eating. We're not the kind of family that gets together and, everybody chats for 2 hours and then they eat. We'll chat for half an hour, then we'll eat and chat afterwards. But if you say dinner is going to be at such and such a time, dinner better be at such and such a time. So they got tired of waiting. And so everybody ate. We had this wonderful Thanksgiving meal, minus the turkey. And then my aunt came in. Everybody was done. We're eating pie. And she walks in the door with this turkey. She's so proud of it. And nobody wants to eat it. Oh, she was so mad. She was so mad. Oh, she went through the, you're going to eat my turkey. Da, da, da. I'm like, you should have showed up on time. Anyway, a lot of hurt feelings. So after that, we were done with Thanksgiving. We weren't doing the family Thanksgiving again. And it was just my little family, my mom, my dad, my sister, me. And one of the things we used to do the year after that, we went out to Calico Ghost Town. So for those of you who aren't in the LA area, which is, I presume, a lot of you, Calico is about, if you're leaving LA and going to Vegas, it's about an hour and a half on the way to Vegas. And it's owned by the same people that own Knott's Berry Farm. And they've kept the ghost town pretty authentic to what it should be as a ghost town. And so we said, oh, we're going to go do something totally different. Now, my mom, like I said, she wasn't a great cook. She was a very simple cook. And my dad had a thing he never really liked, seeing her spend hours and hours in the kitchen. And we were little kids. We didn't eat much. My mom, she weighed 90 pounds soaking wet. She didn't eat much. And to go through all the trouble of Thanksgiving for 3 people that aren't going to eat it, it seemed like a waste. So they decided we're going to go to Calico. So we did, and it was a blast. It was just us, and they had a little turkey dinner thing there. So if we wanted turkey dinner, we could have turkey dinner. If we didn't want turkey dinner, we didn't have to have turkey dinner. And it was a wonderful holiday. And we did that for several years. And then people started going to Vegas for Thanksgiving. I don't really understand that as a destination for Thanksgiving, but, there's a lot of people that do it. Part of it's just it's a 4-day weekend. Hey, Mark.
Hey there, I was hearing about Thanksgiving. That's a great conversation. I was hearing about the notion of going to Thanksgiving in Vegas. I don't quite get it, even though I did spend a Christmas season, or it might have been around Christmas in Vegas visiting a friend sometime back and everything. And we didn't actually go to the strip, but I haven't never been to the strip. as of yet. Maybe I'll get to the strip at some point or
You went to
another.
Vegas, you didn't go to the strip? How did you do that?
I went to visit a friend, and they were not being big into the strip, so they went to. We ate at one of the restaurants that was in a mall area off of the strip, and we actually saw a play. I think it was Drumline, as it was actually in the theater, but that wasn't on the strip either, and everything. So yeah, I managed to go to Vegas and not get to the strip at all. Went by a Kwanzaa celebration, but was just went by it and didn't actually participate in it because by the time I got there, I think that they were several hours away from starting and all along those lines. But yeah, I'm actually go visit Vegas. My one trip to Vegas, and I have never been to the Strip as of yet. I did have a joke for you. Speaking of Thanksgiving and all along those lines, because I've been having this notion. My mom has some turkeys that are in her backyard. She sees those turkeys on a regular basis. It's part of that wildlife that she gets to see on a regular basis. So she's got some turkeys, and then I think she's got some other animals that come. Oh, deer and turkeys that are in her backyard, and we may even see the turkeys. But well, I mean, we'll eat turkey because it'll be at mom's house on Thanksgiving, according to the plans right now. But we may not. I don't think she's planning to eat those turkeys. Those are her neighbor turkeys and all of that. But the joke I have is that I've nicknamed or think of the turkey as one of them as Tom, even though there are several turkeys there and everything. And I keep asking myself, there's this notion of what the president does every year. He pardons the turkeys. I think we've got it backwards. Should the turkeys be pardoning us? Because we're the ones that are eating the turkey. So the turkeys should be pardoning us, not the other way around.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Well, there's a lot of tradition where you're supposed to, I mean, true hunters, and if you go back and I think, okay, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the Jews actually have a a ritual when they kill something, they have to pray for it.
Mhm.
And I believe the Indians do that, and real hunters, they thank the animal for, it's what it's going to provide.
Right.
It's part of the it's part of the experience, and honoring the animal for who it is, and not just, okay, we're just going to shoot
Yeah.
down a bunch of
And
bunch of
speaking of experiences, I mentioned this on another show, but tomorrow my younger brother is actually doing, and it's the only brother I've got, is actually doing something very wonderful. He is the co-founder of a group called the Bull City Slingers. I think I mentioned that to you before. It's those three-wheel vehicles and all along those lines, the Polaris slingshots. They kind of look like the Batmobiles, and that's why I call them the Batmobile kind of cars and everything. But there is a neighborhood here. I think it's the Bluefield community, and there are 74 families there. So his three-wheel community got together. They went to Publix, they went to Food Line, and they got enough turkeys, frozen vegetables, and canned goods to supply the food for that neighborhood on tomorrow between the hours of 2 and 4. So folks can literally go there if they're in those neighborhoods and get some food. So that's one of the things that we do see during Thanksgiving, not just in this neighborhood, but there in California where you are, and a number of other places
Yeah,
where people are
I
providing
think
food
that's
for those that are
awesome.
less fortunate.
And there's a lot of people that don't have families at Thanksgiving, and that's another way to spend Thanksgiving. That's kind of our topic today, is alternative ways to spend Thanksgiving. It doesn't have to be, oh, if you don't have a family, it's like, okay, what do I do? Uh, there's a lot of media out there that could make you feel bad, but you don't need to. And it's really about being thankful for those that you love. And love doesn't have to be blood, you know? It can be friends, it can be, or sometimes it's just giving back to somebody who doesn't have what you have. And that can be
You
super
said
rewarding to go spend some time in a soup kitchen and serving people maybe the one real meal they get in a week, a month. I don't know. I mean, it just that can be super rewarding. I have I have some
it's
friends
interesting
who do
you
that
said
every
that.
year.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that because I was actually just talking to a friend of mine. I actually he used to do it on Pod TV. Actually, it might have been when it was IBM TV, but maybe then under Pod TV as well. But he had a funk show, and now he does it on his own network and everything. But he was telling me that some group of friends, they're all in the music. Well, not all, but a lot of them are in the music community. Are actually doing an event on the Saturday after Thanksgiving because he was asking me if I was going to be busy working because they're going to do a Friendsgiving. So apparently that's something that those folks can do as well. So they're going to literally do that the Saturday after Thanksgiving, where a group of friends will get together, have some meals, talk about life, and definitely have that camaraderie and all in that space. But they will be just having a Friendsgiving. And I think the guy that's putting it on, Diego, is originally from Peru and all in that space. So they'll be doing a Friendsgiving. So yeah, that's something else that people might do as well.
I have done Friendsgiving a few times, yes. And it is nice, it's like, I mean, some people have families, they may not like their families, or they may not get along with their families, and so they go do the family thing because, well, they have to. But then they spend, Friday or Saturday, and they have Friendsgiving,
Mhm.
where it's like, hey, these are the people who, maybe you're not blood, but you're just as important to me, you know
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool thing. So apparently your people are doing it after Black Friday. My people
Which a
love
friend
Black
of mine
Friday, didn't care about Black Friday, but
yeah. And a friend of mine asked me how come it's got to be called Black Friday. They actually wanted to call it Shopaholic Friday and all along those lines. So I'm thinking that that might be the new name for it, because a lot of people definitely the day after Thanksgiving they go out and go and do a whole lot of shopping and all along those lines. And I can't remember. Is it
you
the
know why it's called Black Friday? Because I do.
No, I don't know. Please tell me.
So it's an accounting thing. So retailers, they have to put out a lot of money, and so the general shopping, the day-to-day shopping the rest of the year, has them in the red. They're working at a deficit, and so they're in the red. But the sales and the amount of shopping that happens on Black Friday, and part of it is also for the year. So, like in January, if you're looking at the year as how much money you need to make for the year, you're in the red.
Hmm.
So, by the time you get to late November, December, you should be close to your goal. So, what happens on Black Friday? That's the day with all the sales and everything that their books become in the black. So they're making a profit. So the money they make from Black Friday to the end of the year is all profit.
Wow. I did not know that. I learned something new. And apparently there are a bunch of things that come on around Thanksgiving. We've talked about Friendsgiving, but right after Black Friday apparently is Cyber Monday, where a bunch of people are doing their shopping online, and
At
it's something
work,
that really,
no
well, a
less.
lot of people should be very much into. And I think that we are even a recipient, meaning, as you can tell, I'm at the Hayti Heritage Center today, and I think that in the past we have been recipients of Giving Tuesday, where a lot of people give to various community organizations and nonprofits and a number of other things on that Tuesday after Thanksgiving. As a matter of fact, it's been touted as a global generosity movement, unleashing the power of people and organizations to transform their communities and the world. So I was wondering, do you ever participate in Giving Tuesday, and do you ever give to different organizations?
I do give to different organizations. I I don't know that I particularly honor Giving Tuesday as such. I kind of give when the opportunity and it feels right. Uh,
Mhm.
so I've got cats. I have my cats, so of course I donate to some pets. I've donated to, Habitat for Humanity is a big one for me, obviously. Um, it just go. Everybody deserves to have a place they can call home, and have it be a healthy place to be. And so that's one that touches my heart. I will often donate products to, if I've got leftover stuff from a job, I'll send it to Habitat for Humanity. Um, the firemen come out, and one thing, especially after 9/11, I mean, like, I can't. The firemen, the policemen, they really do. They sacrifice themselves every day. I mean, they never know if they're going home that day. And the firemen in particular, I mean, the fires most of the time are not purposely set. They're dealing with some difficult stuff, and I mean, the cops do too. And I've had a couple times I've had to call the cops, and I have to. In my case, at least, they were really good to me, and so I will donate to them. I mean, the VA comes in, I'll support them. Uh, I'm a sucker for the little kids that come to the door, so I mean, I don't know that I have. It just kind of depends on where my funds are, who's asking, and where I'm at the time. But I do enjoy giving. I love giving to toy drives.
Mhm.
It does feel really good to be able to give back, and so I do it in ways that I can. Sometimes I just donate my time, you
Mhm.
know, because time is worth a lot. Like it's doing the helping out at soup kitchens and stuff like that. They need people, they can't they don't have the wherewithal to do it themselves. And giving somebody some time is really the best gift of all in many ways. I mean, yes, money's great. Um, I'll around the holidays I'll look at who do I know that may also be lonely.
Right.
Hey, you want to go do something, I mean, so there's a lot of ways you can give back, and I'm always trying to, you know, there's the golden rule,
Hmm.
and I hope that not only do I not just do unto others as I want them unto me, but I hope that people feel better after being in my presence and not worse. Now, there's probably a few, I know there's a few salespeople that probably don't feel that way, but
They'll get over themselves. They'll get over themselves and
callers
everything.
probably don't feel that way. But honestly, I do. My goal is to try to, make somebody laugh, brighten their day in any way I can. That's what I want to do.
You do a great job of that. You're definitely a very warm individual and all in that space. But one thing that I was curious about, we have a Thanksgiving ritual. I know many families do it, which is that at some point during the Thanksgiving, we will go around and give thanks for the year and what we have been thankful for. I mean, a lot of times it's around health and around jobs and opportunities and things along those lines. So if you were to be here in our presence, and I know that you're way there in California, but if you were to be in our presence on this coming Thursday and everything, what would be some of the things that you might be saying that you had been thankful for in this particular year?
In this particular year, I'm always grateful for my friends, and they really help me get through some tough situations. And I'm not saying this just because, but honestly, this podcast is something I am really thankful for because it has really helped me to grow in the last year. And if we go back and look at some of those reruns, which I don't think I want to do, but who I was this time last year and who I am now, how comfortable I am doing the podcast, it's really been quite a growing experience, and I'm very, very appreciative for it. So,
Hmm.
there's always good stuff and there's always bad stuff in the year, and ultimately, I'm always grateful for, I call them God moments.
Hmm.
Somebody who just smiles at you as you're walking down the street, somebody who's got a kind ear, somebody maybe has a kind word. I get to do it, and I get to be the receiver sometimes.
Hmm.
And I really do feel like this podcast has become a big chunk of that for me. I have no idea who's listening, if anybody is listening. We do get comments every now and then, which is kind of exciting. So, if anybody's listening, let us know. That would be cool. But um, it's really changed a lot about how I'm presenting myself, how I'm presenting my content, and I really I'm liking what has happened because of it.
There's definitely been people that have commented and they've enjoyed the nature of your conversation as well as your guest and all along those lines. So definitely that is something that I've heard. And like you said, sometimes people will comment after the fact and sometimes even during the fact as well. I was just actually looking up just because I was curious because you are the color whisperer about the colors for Thanksgiving. I know a lot of times it is
Oh,
fall colors. So I just saw that they say that much like red and green symbolize Christmas, Thanksgiving has its own special set
It does.
special use. And while technically just about any color can be incorporated into a Thanksgiving table setting or holiday theme, the Thanksgiving color scheme most people associate with Turkey Day, according to this information I'm getting probably from
Red.
Wikipedia, is orange, brown, red, and yellow.
Yes. And do you know what? So I as in my design world, so I'm an autumn. So I had a friend. Now I have a few select people call me Nettie, mostly children because Jeanette's hard to say. And so I had a friend who occasionally called me Nettie, and he goes, "Oh, look, it's netty colored. So this is the netty colored season because I
Mhm.
wear a lot of orange and brown and yellow and red. So yellow, orange, and red all help make your food taste better.
No.
And red actually helps with digestion.
Mhm.
Orange is a color of change, which that's what fall is.
Mhm.
It's also a very exciting color. It's a very friendly color. Yellow is very much a color of friendship and
Mhm.
joviality, and that's what Thanksgiving is supposed to be about.
Oh yeah.
Is getting together. What do we do? We're not handing out presents and everything. It's we're getting together. We're sharing. We're being grateful. We're enjoying each other's company. So the colors all reference that as well.
Yep.
Um, it's really wonderful, and there's very simple ways to decorate for the holiday too. You know, putting out a few pumpkins can really add some festive flavor. Some leaves. Oh, hang on a second, I want to show you something. I'll be right back.
All right.
So
While she's getting those, the other thing that Thanksgiving is known for is sports, because sometimes people be watching their sports games and all along those lines. I think there are several football games and all along those lines. And then the other thing that it's known for, sometimes even before Thanksgiving, which I never could quite figure out, but a lot of times there are early Christmas parades. Because I want to say that the
isn't
one of
that what the Macy's Day Parade is, the day after, or is it on the day of Thanksgiving?
I think Macy's Day might be the day after, but I know here
No, I
in
think no, 'cause people they want people in the stores the day after. It has to be Christmas. It has to be Thanksgiving Day. It's Thanksgiving Day.
Macy's is on Thanksgiving Day.
It has to be because they want everybody in the stores the next day, not sitting home watching the parade.
Let's see. You might be right because I think that I was going home on Thanksgiving last year, and a friend of mine was actually looking at Macy's on the that day virtually and everything. So yes, it looks like it is the Thanksgiving Day parade is marching on, despite apparently the politics has gotten in everything. So apparently there was a protest about the inclusion of two non-binary performers and everything. So yeah, the Macy's Day parade is set to go on in all in that space, but there is an anti-LGBT group that is organizing a boycott over performance by non-binary Broadway actors. Don't they have anything better to do than bring up these kind of issues and everything? Can't they just let people get along in all in that space? Maybe I'm just being a little bit too idealistic and everything, but yes, it is an
You can tell I
iconic.
don't watch the parade, period. So I'm a little biased. We have this thing called the Rose Parade in
Yes,
California. Yeah. I'm a little biased, but they do it in a parade.
yeah, and I want to say that we have a parade too, but I think it's 2 days later. I think
Oh,
I think our Raleigh Christmas parade is literally like on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, or it might even be this Saturday. So it might even be before Thanksgiving. Now that I think about it, which really doesn't make any sense because you're going to do it before the holidays, well, before Thanksgiving. I think it's actually this coming weekend. So I think it's actually on like the 18th is the Raleigh Christmas parade and all in that space. And they had some kind of controversies as well because they have the they had a very sad moment last year with a vehicle hitting and unfortunately killing somebody, a young lady, and all in that space. So now they're saying that the Raleigh Christmas Parade is back, but without vehicles, but with teal. So they might have some teal
with
color,
what?
but they won't have any vehicles and everything. But they're going to have some teal, and I guess that's the color teal. So maybe
Teal?
they're going to add some green to it and
Wait, wait,
everything,
wait, wait. We're having an accent thing. Some teal, like the color teal?
like the color teal.
I don't understand. There are no vehicles. How are they going to ride teal?
I'm guessing that they're just, I don't think they're going to write it. I think they're just going to be having the addition of the teal color because I don't know that they had teal
Oh,
before and everything. So I think they're going to try to add a
teal
little bit
doesn't
of.
match with Christmas. What does teal have to do with Christmas?
That's a good question. Now you got me curious of doing a little bit of research as to why they're adding teal to the
Teal is
Christmas.
about communication. Teal, the color teal is about communication and transformation. So I guess you could maybe throw in, you've got the transformation of Jesus being born. I don't know. That to me would seem more like an Easter thing. But I mean, I've seen teal Christmas trees and they're beautiful, but that's not typically what we associate.
My guess, it sounds like it's to honor the life of the woman whose life was lost. So I'm actually finding an article, but it says this year there are major changes out of after an out of control truck hit and killed 11-year-old Haley Brooks in the parade last November. Motor vehicles are not allowed in this week's parade. Parade organizers with the Greater Raleigh Merchant Association and Shop Local Raleigh also want people to honor Haley Brooks by wearing teal. It was her favorite color. So that's why they're doing it. It was her favorite color and everything. So they're saying that, well, many of us are still grieving. We all know that giving back to the community, coming together, and creating change is just one way we honor those gone before us. Haley Brooks' favorite color was teal. One way we want to honor her life is by wearing something teal at this year's Christmas parade,
Okay.
this year's Raleigh Christmas parade, and we are inviting all of you to join us, join along in wearing something teal. So it
Well,
was,
that makes sense.
yeah, that makes sense. It was to honor her
Yeah.
life because apparently that was her favorite color. So that makes sense.
So, what I went to go get, one of the easy ways to decorate for Thanksgiving is with leaves.
Uh
And,
huh.
and it's something that doesn't have to be just for Thanksgiving. You can leave it out all year round. So, I got this as a birthday present for me. This is gorgeous. Look at this. This is from Fitz and Floyd. I just love it.
Oh,
But
wow.
I know that Williams Sonoma has some really pretty stuff out right now. And oh, what's the other store? Pottery Barn, maybe.
Well,
But having so I love to have multiple sets of dishes, and so having like at Christmas, you can do that for like a month. But if you wanted to have like some leaf dishes or some fall themed dishes, you could use those September, October, November. So you can use them all fall, and it gets a really nice way to change out the decor when you're dining in your dining room. Um, and I know right now, I mean, if you go looking at plates on people's, on the registry things, and it's all like white, 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 white.
hmm,
If I mean, some people like white. There is some dietary reasons to do white, but um, it makes the food look bigger.
well, yeah, well, I'm already going to be eating too much
Smaller
food already.
portions. I don't know. I mean, there's some stuff around that's true, but I think it's fun to have different dish sets that you can use in different times of the year. And I have a dear friend, and she has she must have 15 different sets. Now,
Well,
it was just her and her husband, so a set could be two. And that
right.
didn't necessarily mean four. It could be two plates, two bowls, two cups. And it didn't have to be a set of 12. I mean, it's just so she had like 15 different sets of
Well,
dinnerware, and then she would mix and match them. So throughout the year, they could do all kinds of stuff, and she would post on her Facebook page, "This is tonight's dinnerscape," and they really made a tradition out of dinner. It wasn't just, oh, we sit down and we eat next to each other at the TV. Yawn. That's not what we're supposed to be together for,
right.
right? They made it a ritual. They would plan the menu, they made a tablescape, and they would sit down and really just dine, not just eat, but they would dine together and talk together. And they did this at least once a week.
Oh, well.
So, and years ago, there was a magazine. can't remember the name of it right now. And this lady had like 30 sets of china, and she had a butler's pantry. And I'd never seen a butler's pantry at that point in my life. And I was like, oh, I want one of those.
Mhm.
I want to have, it's like, I think it would be so cool to have, a bunch of different sets of plates, and you can change them out constantly and make different designs with them, make different feelings for them. So don't be afraid to go get those fall dishes, and you can use them for 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, you can definitely use them more than just a little bit of time and everything. I'm just curious, because one of the things I love about Thanksgiving, well, just going up to mom's house in general, is that you're gonna have some good leftovers. So I'm just wondering, how long did your leftovers last after you had a Thanksgiving meal? Because sometimes those leftovers can last for about a week if you package them right and everything. So I was just wondering, in your history, how long did the you have dinners prepared after the Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, so I didn't finish my story about the calico.
Okay.
And that became our tradition for a long time until everybody was going to Vegas, and then we found some other traditions. But um, we didn't. I mean, we made Thanksgiving that one time. I think that's the only time we've made Thanksgiving, and usually we went out to dinner with my family, and then we have had some friends giving things, but they might send us home with a tin of so I might get 1 or 2 meals out of it. Um, but that's pretty much it. I really haven't done. Only once did I host Thanksgiving, and most of the time it's just been a restaurant, so there hasn't really been any leftovers. In fact, when we used to go to Friendsgiving at a friend's house, um, their thing was bring leftovers, and we had to make something for leftovers because we didn't have any.
Wow. That's amazing and everything. 'Cause I was just thinking that sometimes mom will pack up enough. It usually lasts at least, I'd say sometimes it can last 3 days, but there have been cases where it's lasted longer. But yeah, she definitely makes sure that you have plenty of leftovers. And I think it might be a southern thing because definitely that's not just, I haven't heard just from my mom, but even my aunt and, well, aunts and a number of others have told me that they have that similar tradition of you get some Ziploc bags and some other kind of bags, and you stock enough in there to have some leftovers of whatever the good dishes might be. So yeah, they cook more than is needed. But the other thing I was curious about that we did as part of Thanksgiving, and it's actually just a gathering thing, is they will sometimes afterwards, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes you'll be watching the football games, but before people went home, usually in the evening, if they didn't stay over and everything, there would be games and all along those lines. We're a family that loves to play spinners, and there's a couple of other games. Spinners is like dominoes, and there are a couple of other games that the family may play as well. So I was just wondering, was that part of the Thanksgiving ritual, even when you were doing it in the restaurants? Were there any games that were broken out? Because I do know that sometimes that can be a Thanksgiving ritual as well. And that Scrabble used to be there before spinners, and there have been some other games also.
No, I mean, when I was little, it was Calico, and so Calico had it's a bit of a museum.
Mm,
There's mines to go through. So there was a mine to go through. They had a crooked house where like the water goes uphill, and one of those crazy houses. There was a lot of little shops to go through, and they were teaching you different parts of living in the old west. And so that really was an all day thing. So we didn't have any games. Um, by the time by the time I would have been an adult, my youngest, well, that's not true. Um, so we didn't really do a lot of games then. We started doing dinners out, and then I was married, and we kind of like we would go and have Thanksgiving, and we'd spend a couple hours talking, and then we'd come home. When my niece and nephews were born, um, we didn't always have them at Thanksgiving because their father got them some of the time. And well, the one Thanksgiving that we did do, So I have a pond in the back of my yard, and the 2-year-old was going nuts, and mom was just no, 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 no. I'm like, okay, I give him pen and paper. I'm like, and then he started pounding with it, and he said, no, 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 no. And I said, well, why don't you go outside and play? Okay, so the 3 kids go outside and play, and they weren't out there more than 10 minutes. And my niece comes in, Jeanette, hurry, hurry, it's an emergency. Well, dad went out there with him. I'm like, okay, how bad of an emergency can this be? Dad's out there, right? But, and she says, Colin fell in the pond. Now, each of the kids seemed to had to be baptized in the pond one way or another. And it seemed to be, I was, very careful watching them and everything, but they all seemed to, at some point, one or another, get into the pond. And so I grabbed a towel and I go out and I'm like, Colin, were you trying to swim with my fishes? He's a little scared and stuff. And um, I put him in the bathtub to get him warm. And, I just was like, okay, we got to get this kid warm. And that pretty much ended the day there. So, but no, we're not big on games. My family is relatively small. And there were years being around my sister was not a good thing. So I just like, how little do we have to do? And, you know,
Yeah, sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes you, like you said, sometimes family
you
is.
have better family than I do, really, truly. Your
That
family
what?
way more fun than mine.
Well, they're just known for doing interesting and fun things. I remember Scrabble when it was younger, and they still play Scrabble on occasion. And then it became Spinners, and I think it became a couple of other games. But yeah, there's a variety of games that are broken out because sometimes the nephews like to play as well. I think that one nephew had a ingenious idea because I think that he won a game one time and then he just realized that if you got that one victory, then you quit while you were ahead. So he literally stopped. He's like, okay, I won. I don't have to play anymore. No, 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 no. So he would even try to talk him back. Like, don't you want to play again? Don't you want a rematch? He's like, no, I'm good. I won. So that does happen. Sometimes kids are like, "Hey, I'm good. I've won, so I don't need to do anything else other than that." So they are perfectly good with that kind of attitude and everything. But I'm just thinking about those that fall
As
color.
adults, I mean, I kind of don't blame them. That's quite a coup.
Yeah.
And hey, I got that, years ago. I was tutoring this girl in English,
Mhm.
and she was homeschooled, and she was learning geometry and algebra at the same time. And I was like, oh, I struggled with both. And I said, that would just be too hard. And she goes, oh, no, it's really easy this way. I can teach you. I said, nope, I got those wrinkles in my brain. I don't need to redo that. Thank you very much. And so maybe that's where he's at. It's like, hey, I did that. I can close the book on it. It's an accomplishment. Woohoo. And on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, bigger and better things. Speaking of bigger and better things, I did hear that there is a movie that is coming out that is actually the Thanksgiving movie, but apparently it is a Thanksgiving horror. And I know that some people have enough horror in their life and everything, but I don't know that I would have picked Thanksgiving to be the horror theme and everything along
I mean, do
this
they need
lines.
my sister? Because no, I'm teasing.
Well, apparently the advertisement says Thanksgiving there will be no leftovers because apparently, like I said, it is literally a horror movie. I want to say set in Plymouth, like Plymouth, Massachusetts, and all in that space. So definitely, it is directed by Ellie Roth and is from a screenplay written by Jeff Render. And apparently, it is out there and is out there in that world, and definitely looks like it is a whole notion of a horror movie. So. After a Black Friday ends in a tragedy last year, a mysterious serial killer. Why do we need a serial killer on Thanksgiving, known only as John Carver, comes to Plymouth, Massachusetts, with the intention of creating a Thanksgiving carving board, apparently out of the town people and everything. So they're totally wrecking the idea of a good, wholesome Thanksgiving by making it into a horror movie and all along those lines. So bad enough we got zombies. Now we're gonna have a horror Thanksgiving movie as well. And no, it does not feature your sister.
Back in college, I took a class in creative writing,
Uh-huh.
and although I'm a very creative person, and back then I really did love writing, and I don't write as much as I used to, but creative writing was a way I kept sane. And but they we'd have to write stories every week. I mean, not everybody would write the story. We'd have to write stories every week, and then every week so many stories, everybody would get copies of them. And they were just, all of it was just blood and guts and swearing and gore, and I just was like, I was embarrassed to turn in anything I did, because I'm like, that's not a world I want to be in, you know? And like every other story somebody was raped, and I'm just like, it's out there, it is, but I much prefer a movie that makes me feel good at the end, and not just, you know, let's do blood and guts and gore for the sake of blood and guts and gore.
No, exactly. And we can have fun movies because apparently there was a movie that many people will remember because we talk about a Charlie Brown's Christmas, but let's not forget there was also a Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving that came out in the early 70s as well. So definitely there was a whole notion of the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and some people may even be watching
And the
that.
great
But yep, because it's about to turn 50. It's about to turn 50 this year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep, this is the 50th anniversary. This is the 50th anniversary of a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving with the pumpkin and the whole 9 yards. So it just turned 50 years old. Huh?
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then there was something called a Turkey Bowl, which is apparently a film that was more recent. It was a 30-something urbanite is pulled back to his rural hometown by his high school buddies on Thanksgiving to finish the Turkey Bowl, which was an epic football game. So yeah, they found a way to have that as well. So yeah, there's some Thanksgiving style movies that are out there as well. So definitely the Turkey Bowl was a
I'd
sports.
rather go see the Turkey Bowl than the Thanksgiving hunt. So
Yeah, I agree. The Turkey Bowl and definitely gave them going and watching the whole notion of the Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving. And sometimes people forget it because one of the movies that I'm seeing listed as a popular Thanksgiving movie, and maybe it was set on Thanksgiving. I just don't remember when it was set. I need to look it up. But apparently, Soul Food might have had a Thanksgiving theme as well because definitely it is follows the trials of the Joseph family and all along those lines. And I know it's an African American classic, but I did not know that it was considered a Thanksgiving movie. But maybe it is, or maybe they just had it listed in some of the movies that folks might be watching around that time, or maybe it is actually set in that particular period of the season and everything. So I got to look it up and see when it was, what time frame they were doing it in, and all in that space. But I did see it
I remember
listed.
seeing a movie, and I don't remember what it was called, but it went from like holiday to holiday, and all the food preparation was a big deal.
Hmm.
And it was a family working stuff out, but I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember for sure what the name was. Was that kind of soul food? Was that what soul food was?
It could have been. I'm going to actually pull it up in a minute and see if I see Thanksgiving mentioned. Because the other thing that I see in that thing in that vein, and is actually set in the 1880s, is a movie called An Old Fashioned Thanksgiving, and it was a TV movie back in 2008. So, in the late 1880s, a widowed mother of three struggles to keep her family intact and to put food on the table. The oldest daughter sends a letter to her estranged, very wealthy grandmother, urging her assistance, much to her mother's disapproval. And when the grandmother arrives, old wounds are opened but eventually healed. And it's all from a story from looks like Louisa May Alcott. And Louisa May Alcott is
Oh,
definitely,
Little Women.
yeah, exactly. So that's another thing that was out there as well.
Cool.
Let me see if I can see it. So
Okay, so it's just me. So he's looking up soul food. So let's talk about favorite stuff for Thanksgiving. It's pumpkin. Trader Joe's goes nuts with pumpkin everything. They've got pumpkin O's, they've got pumpkin, you name it, right? And it's always exciting to go into Trader Joe's this time of year and see what's new in the pumpkins and what can we create. Did you find soul food? Because I think of pumpkin pie is soul
I'm
food
going to
in
do
it,
that
and
right now, but I was
pie.
hearing you talking about pumpkin. I heard you talking
Do
about pumpkin pies. I was going
you do
like,
grits
that
in
sounds
the South
delicious
for
and everything.
Thanksgiving? Do you do
Did I
grits
do what?
or what do you do that's Southern and for Thanksgiving? Do you do grits or do you do like corn, corn,
There's a couple
corn,
of things. I mean,
or
definitely
hush
there's
puppies?
greens and there's
Do you know where
definitely
the name hush puppies came from?
hmm?
Do you know why they're called hush puppies?
No, why are they called hush puppies?
Oh, this is really cool. So the slaves, when they were trying to escape from the South, they would put them in their pockets. And when the dogs came after them, they'd throw them at them, and it would get the dogs to hush, and they could run.
Oh, hush puppies. I did not know that. I learned something new. Apparently, the story online for soul food is around a Sunday dinner, so maybe it was a Sunday Thanksgiving dinner, but it says matriarch Mama Joe has held her family together for 40 years around a Sunday dinner of soul food. When diabetes hospitalizes her, the dinner stops and tensions among her three daughters start to break the family apart. Two of her sisters feud continuously. Terry is jealous of Maxine's marriage and irritated that everyone assumes her corporate salary is open to the rest of the family's use. And Maxine resents Terry's bossiness and sensitivity to family tradition. Bird, the youngest, newly married to an ex-con, accepts a favor from an old lover that leads to her husband's arrest, and Mama Joe's grandson, Ahmad, cooks up a scheme to bring the family together back to the table. So maybe that was
Did
very,
see that. Yes, it was a very good movie.
yeah, yeah,
Very good movie. All right.
yeah,
Well,
cool.
speaking of soul food,
Yes.
I think it's time to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, and let's bring on some Kendo Spice because it ain't Thanksgiving without some Kendo Spice.
It's right. You can add that Kindle spice. It'll make it even more pleasant. Thanksgiving and everything. I was too busy hearing about your pumpkin recipe because I was going like, I want a pumpkin pie now and everything. So I'm gonna get
Uh,
to the Kindle because I'm thinking that you make a probably delicious pumpkin pie, or maybe you got some other uses for the pumpkin as well. But I was going like, this sounds very delicious and everything. So I was actually intrigued by the pumpkin pie idea.
well, I do enjoy baking, but again, I don't really have any great Thanksgiving recipes because we never cooked. So I do have my favorite recipe that I make, and I'll do this. I like to make teas and
Hmm.
English teas, and I'll give this as a gift, or if there's a potluck or something, I make this pear walnut tort cake. It is so good. So it's a yellow cake, pears, sour cream, nuts, eggs, maybe a few other things I don't remember. But then what really like that alone is just amazing. It's very moist and the pear adds just a little bit of sweetness and it's something very unique. You don't ever hear people talking about pear walnut cake. But then the piece de resistance is the frosting, and it's whipped cream. And I don't use the can. I get the real cream and I whip it and all that stuff. And then you mix it with pudding, and and it's becomes this wonderful frosting. It's not thick frosting, but it's frosting. And you cover that with a cake. Oh my God. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. It's a huge hit every single time I make it. So
Sounds like it.
that's my killer resistance. If anybody wants the recipe, you can email me at design@thecolorwhisperer.com. I'm happy to share.
Well, well,
But
just to let
it is
you know, just
the crowd.
before we get to Kendu and all of that, just to let you know, because this was apparently way back in 2018, so maybe there have been some additional movies added. But yes, a truly great Thanksgiving movie needs to have a few key components. A big meal of some sort is essential, of course, but that feast can be anything. No turkey or cranberry sauce is necessary. Ideally, this dinner is the main attraction or destination at the end of the journey, and the food should be hard to prepare and ceremoniously grand. And perhaps most importantly, a great Thanksgiving film needs to show people making mistakes and learning something about themselves, even in some small way. And that's how come Soul Food got listed as one of the top movies. So the movies that they listed, according to this website called Eater.com, is Soul Food, Big Night, that was seen as a Thanksgiving movie, Home for the Holidays, which was directed by Jodie Foster back in 1995.
That's old.
Yeah, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman back in 1994, directed by Jan Ling. What's Cooking, which is seen as a movie. Julie and Julia. That makes sense since that's actually around, I think, a whole notion of Julie Childs and all in that space, as well as the food blogger Julie Powell. So that makes sense because it's about food. And definitely Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. And then the last one that I'm seeing is listed is actually not a human film, and it was actually one of the later ones that they have listed, but it was Fantastic Mr. Fox, even though it's not explicitly about any human holiday. This 2009 stop animation extravaganza is really one of the best Thanksgiving movies out there because it's got a lot of the action revolves around acquiring and consuming delicious food and drinks. And in one memorial scene, the entire animal clan sits around a table stocked with a sumptuous autumn-like meal as the titular hero, voiced by George Clooney, toasts to their good fortune. So basically, it sounds like a Thanksgiving meal with the food, with the folks around and everything. And there was a couple of ones that you probably know that are honorable mentions, including Grumpy Old Man, the Ice Storm, as well as the Search for General Tio, and something called Tampapayo, which is apparently was a Japanese cult classic. So yeah, you can sit back and watch some good movies. I know that was actually, I think that was last Thanksgiving. We wound up watching after we had all that food. I forgot what the movie was, but we wound up watching a great movie, and it was me, my nephew's mom, and we just sat there and chuckled at this movie that was a hoot. I got to check with my brother to remember what the name of that movie was, but that was kind of the piece de resistance of the entire Thanksgiving day, was having that time because everybody was pretty much uh, full. So I think at some point we might have slept through parts of the movie as well. But what we saw, we enjoyed it. I think we even watched reruns later on of that same movie. So I want to reach out to Malik, and the next time I talk to you, I'll tell you the exact name of that movie, or maybe I'll even reach out to mom and find out what we were watching, which I was part of the fun of last year's Thanksgiving.
That sounds awesome.
Cool.
Sounds awesome. Well, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, whether you're spending it with family, doing the traditional thing, whether you're doing something untraditional, friends, whatever. I hope that it's a very good day for you and that you are surrounded by people that you love.
Exactly. And on that note, we're going to play some Kendu spices. And who knows, maybe you can put that Kendu spices on that turkey to make it even more scrumptious and all along those lines. Because it might make it, if it was dangerous already, it might make it triply dangerous if you put these Kendu spices on it. So let's check out the Kendu spices.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.